White House in the United States just launched the Genesis mission, which is a Manhattan project for AI, is what we're calling it. So the Department of Energy is going to build a national AI platform on top of US supercomputers and federal science data, train scientific foundation models, and run AI agents plus robotic labs to automate experiments in biotech, critical materials, nuclear fission, fusion, space, quantum, and semiconductors. So this right here is going to be absolutely massive as far as the United States going all in truly on the development of AI and robotics.
So what is the
So
Manhattan Project for anyone who doesn't know?
yeah, so I'll be honest, I'm not the person to talk about that, but it was where they developed the atomic bomb, from what I understand, right?
Yes.
So, um, and in that, right, like bringing all of the best scientists that America had, right, to work on that project, which was an existential threat, right, to society at the time, was if someone else creates an atomic bomb. So it was
First,
this
yeah.
race, right? What did you say?
Yeah, no, totally. And the thing is that it also solves a lot of economic problems too, because then the government can force so many industries to grow too. So it's also kind of funny that there's usually a direct correlation to when these things happen to when there was like negative financial situations as well.
Big facts. That we can't ignore that. Society's crumbling, rates rising. No one's wants U.S. dollars. We've got to have these major responses
It's
in
got to be
terms
a
of
story.
technological investment. Yes,
Mhm.
yes. So, a little bit more of the details around this. Essentially, the Department of Energy is ordered to turn the national lab system into an integrated stack that provides high performance compute for large scale model training, simulation inference, domain foundation models across physics, materials, bio, energy, AI agents to explore design spaces, evaluate experiments, automate workflows, and robotic and automated labs and production tools for AI directed experiments and manufacturing. National scale AI scientists and AI lab tech as infrastructure. Okay, so I think the important thing that I would say, just off of just immediately thinking at this, is we also want to think about um, the fact that this is coming from the Department of Energy, right? Because this is where we need it from, right? We need the Department of Energy to step it up and figure out ways that we can also actually come up with the limiting factor here is how much energy do we have to be able to actually allow these data centers to process and do what we need them to do. So we need the Department of Energy to help to build out that capacity. Now, we listened to Moonshots and Peter Diamandis, and some of the things that I got from them is that there's kind of this feedback loop that's happening when it comes to AI and the energy problem, because and just a lot of the different problems that we're going to see from AI that we need to solve, which is that the AI itself, okay, is going to get to the point to where it can help us solve these problems, right? Now, that might be crazy, lofty, way out there, but that is something to think about. At some point, AI is going to solve this problem of how do we actually either become more energy efficient in the data centers or um, build out more energy sources. Where can we start pulling energy in ways that we just haven't done before? So something to keep in mind as we go through all of this.
Yeah, completely. And Moonshots is a client of mine, so I listen to their show all the time, and so they're talking about these things, and they're definitely obviously super bullish on this thing, and they're fully bought in. Like, I don't think they could think of any way where AI won't solve the problems that AI creates, but it is what it is, right? So, who knows? Maybe they're totally right. Everyone's just making predictions at this point, but you're totally right. Like, the biggest constraint is that. And so if you can bond everyone together over a unified mission and purpose, then people will go in and do that. What the outcome of that will be, who knows? But what comes to your mind in terms of like when you're reading all of this? Is there any specific place your mind goes?
I mean, the only thing that's just on my mind around all of this is like nuclear power being the thing that needs to happen for this to actually work out. Um, we've got to get on it. China has like 100 times the amount of nuclear power plants that they've been developing over the past 5 to 10 years that we do. And
See,
that
that's
is that like capacity situation that they've got and that we don't have.
See, that's the con of a free market, right? Is that when one error takes place, like the whole branding of atomic bombs and then attachment to atomic energy happens, the market won't solve that. Because everybody who could solve the problem is going to be like, I don't want to touch this. It's way too hard. Whereas in China, they can just say, this is problem. You're doing this now.
Yeah, man, for sure,
Right?
bro.
So here it's like that's the one con of a free market, I'm saying that in air quotes, where that's not gonna be solved. So we're way far behind, aren't we?
Is
I say we, I'm not
really bad.
American.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, it's uh, the Americans will tell you it's the fight with the West. You know,
Yeah,
needs to bond together and beat China. So, um,
yeah.
yeah, dude, it's crazy. And I learned this from Joe Lonsdale, who was the co-founder of Palantir and other big companies, huge VC now. Um, this concept that like they're way ahead of us on energy, and that's not even just like an AI thing. Like in general, right? Because here's what's happening too. The problem is that now our rents are going. Excuse me, our energy bills are going up because we don't have enough excess capacity for energy. So not only does this have an impact on where we're at in the AI race, but this also impacts the actual societal fabric as well, right? Now you've got social unrest. Now you've got other issues that can come up and bubble up because we don't have the same amount of energy capacity that China has. So keep that in
It's the
mind too.
same reference that we gave to when we were talking about social media marketing that happened with Facebook ads, right? Where the dynamic changed, but this is not an optional expense. Right? Like advertising is an expense that makes people more money and something they don't need. Energy we all need. So this massive change in the variables that are here are screwing over people that aren't involved. And so naturally that's another massive problem.
Yeah. Um, Salim mentioned stealing the energy from residential on the podcast. Maybe he was joking, but
Might
kind
have
of had
been.
me wondering. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was more of a
Uh,
troll or a joke, I think.
yeah. I don't remember that exact moment, but it's like, I mean, at this point, that's like what's happening. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah. I mean, we're not far from having, from what I understand, right? I'm not an expert on this. We're not far from having to where we're gonna have to start dealing like blackouts type of stuff because of the fact that like we're building these data centers that need all this energy. And we don't have it. Um, so I mean, this is a problem that California has without. I mean, maybe they just do have a bunch of data centers, and that's part of the problem. But California's having blackouts as well, and this is something that I'm getting from the Moonshots podcast. But they were saying how it's actually gone down a lot over time. The amount of blackouts that California is having, but just to think that in America, like that's even happening already in any way, just kind of shows that we're in a delicate place when it comes to the energy grid, and adding and bolstering on $1 trillion of investment in AI is going to be massive. And so this project that the Department of Energy is launching here, right, is clearly going to be absolutely critically important to making sure that we can actually get this stuff figured out. This is a national emergency, and some might even say a global emergency that
It's a
the US is trying
necessity.
to do. Yeah.
If you want to push AI forward, that is obviously. But to connect it to,
Or to not just leave people without power because we,
yeah,
we
yeah, yeah.
just don't have enough power.
Yes, but obviously we need the power because there's more competition for it. But one to connect it to Canada is we had this whole initiative where we were pushing to go purely electric vehicles by 2030, I think it was. And I spoke to my friend who's an electrician, and he basically was like, the whole grid would collapse if like we were anywhere close to that. It's not possible. And so they've really walked that back because
Man.
Canada's in a similar situation too. We have so many resources here that we could turn into energy. We've got a lot of oil. We have basically everything natural resource, like every type of natural resource. We have a lot here. We just don't really. We're not that innovative in a lot of ways, and we don't use a lot of it because of bureaucracy as well. So we'll probably have to do our own sort of push like that. We'll have to have a Canadian version of this to do the same sort of stuff, the whole capturing of the energy. It'll be interesting to see how we handle that.
Yeah. It's very interesting to see how the different countries around the world are going to try to act on this. I think this might have been on that podcast as well, but there's this concept of like, uh, people basically just investing into other countries to get it done. For instance, like Europe investing into Saudi, I think is kind of what it was, to get their data centers built out there instead of trying to do it where they know they can't do it. So that's another thing that'll be interesting too to see is like how do governments around the world try to build this technology out. I mean, how good of an idea is it to like proxy fund your nuclear arms in a
Yeah.
separate country? Like, I don't know. But it seems that that might be an approach that some countries are taking at the moment.